When Sarah and I got married, I thought I had found the kind of love that made other people envious, quiet, steady, and deeply loyal. Ours wasn't flashy. We weren't the couple posting selfies every weekend or writing long captions about how lucky we were. We just fit. We built a life on the small things. Weekend pancakes, shared glances across the couch, stupid inside jokes that only made sense to us. But love doesn't always vanish overnight. Sometimes, it seeps out slowly through ignored texts and half-hearted good nights. The changes were subtle at first. She started working late more often. Girls' night became a weekly thing, sometimes stretching until morning. She got secretive with her phone, smiling at messages she wouldn't let me see. And I really tried, not to suspect anything. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure, jealous without cause. But the feeling wouldn't leave. It was like living next to a ticking clock, knowing something was about to explode. One night, over dinner, I finally asked her, "Why do you seem so far away lately?" She didn't even look up from her phone, just muttered, "You don't own me, Daniel. I'm not your property." The fork slipped from my hand and clattered onto the plate. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Just stunned. Her tone wasn't defensive. It was resentful, like I had done something wrong by caring. "I never said you were," I answered quietly. "But if being faithful feels like ownership to you, then maybe you've already left this marriage." She rolled her eyes, grabbed her purse, and walked out without a word. Her plate of food untouched. The door shut behind her like a final punctuation mark. I sat there for a long time, just staring at the chair she had left empty. Something inside me cracked that night. Not with rage, with realization that the woman across from me wasn't my Sarah anymore. But I still needed to know. I needed the truth. The next morning, when she was in the shower, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked our shared phone bill. Not her phone, just the records, something I had never felt the need to monitor before. There it was, a number I didn't recognize. Dozens of late-night calls. Some lasted over an hour. My stomach turned as I plugged it into a search engine. The name came up instantly. Ryan. Her coworker. The one she said was just a friend. The one she always swore was harmless. I didn't lose it. I didn't throw anything or scream or even cry. I just sent her a text. "Sarah, if you found someone else, just say it. You don't have to lie anymore." Her reply came back within seconds. "I'm not your property. Stop controlling me." That was the moment I knew. Not just that she had cheated, but that she was gone. The version of her who loved me, who saw me, who dreamed with me. She didn't exist anymore. I stood up, walked outside, and breathed in the cold evening air. For the first time in months, there was peace, a painful kind, but peace nonetheless. I didn't respond to Sarah's last message. I didn't need to. Her words hung in the air like smoke. Sharp, lingering, impossible to ignore. "I'm not your property." It was like she thought she could use that line as a shield, something to make her feel justified while stepping on everything we built. I turned my phone off and spent the evening walking. No destination, just letting the cold bite at my skin. It helped me feel grounded, present. My mind was racing, but my steps were steady. When I finally came home, the house was dark and silent. I left the lights off. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't cry either. I just sat on the couch and stared at nothing. Somewhere in the middle of that silence, I realized something terrifying and freeing. I didn't want her to come home. The next day, I went to work like normal, kept my head down, answered emails, fixed a busted hard drive for an older lady who reminded me of my mom. No one at the office knew what was going on. I didn't tell them. What could I even say? That evening, I turned my phone back on. 15 missed calls, all from her. Then came the messages. A flood of them, pouring in one after another. "Daniel, please. Pick up. I didn't mean it like that. It's not what you think. Can we talk? Please." I just stared at the screen. My fingers hovered over the reply button, but I couldn't bring myself to type anything. Every word I could have said had already been spoken and ignored. That night, she came home. She didn't knock. She still had her key. I heard the door creak open and her footsteps on the hallway floor. When I looked up, she stood in the doorway like a ghost, makeup smudged, eyes red, hands trembling. "Daniel," she whispered. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. I just waited. It wasn't serious." "I swear," she said, walking closer. It was stupid. I felt invisible. Ryan noticed me. That's all it was. Just being noticed. That's all it was. She said it like it was nothing. Like noticing wasn't the first spark of betrayal. "I never wanted to lose you," she added. "It just happened." No, affairs don't just happen. Lies don't just appear out of thin air. Still, I sat there and listened to every word. I let her cry, let her reach for my hand, let her beg, and through it all, I felt nothing. Just this strange hollowness, like someone had scooped out all the love and left the shell of who I used to be. Finally, I spoke, quietly. Love isn't ownership, but it is responsibility. It's trust. You broke that. She broke down, dropped to her knees, and sobbed like she could cry the betrayal out of her body. But I didn't move. I couldn't. I wasn't angry anymore. Just tired. Just done. In the days that followed, she tried everything. Deleted her social media, blocked Ryan, offered to go to counseling, said all the right things. Too late. I tried to imagine forgiving her. I really did. But every time she smiled, I wondered if Ryan had seen that same smile, if he knew what her breath sounded like when she whispered things that were once only mine. It was like trying to put glass back together with bare hands. You only end up bleeding. So I did what I never thought I would. I filed for separation. No shouting, no drama. Just silence. She signed the papers through tears, sobbing through every page like her grief could reverse time. But the past doesn't care how sorry you are. The day the separation papers were finalized, she sat across from me at the lawyer's office, eyes puffy, mascara streaked down her cheeks. She clutched a tissue like it could save her, like it could clean up more than just the tears. I didn't gloat. I didn't remind her of the 15 missed calls. I didn't need to. The silence between us said everything. She had already heard it in my voice. That calm, that stillness, the absence of fight. I walked out of that office lighter, not because I wanted to be free of her, but because I had no choice but to become free of the version of her that stayed, the version who looked me in the eye and still lied, the version who traded honesty for attention, the version who, somewhere along the way, started believing that being loved meant being owned. In the weeks that followed, I moved out of the house we'd once filled with laughter. I left behind the photos, the candles she liked, even the stupid mug she always stole from me. I didn't take anything that might carry a memory. I wanted clean space. Physically and mentally, I learned how to live with the quiet, how to cook for one, how to fold just my clothes, how to sleep on my side of the bed without expecting warmth beside me. It was hard. Some mornings, I'd wake up thinking she was still there. My arm would reach out to an empty pillow. But grief is a teacher, and over time, it teaches you how to breathe again, slower, deeper, quieter. 3 months after we signed the papers, I got a letter in the mail. Not a text, not a call, a letter, written in her handwriting. The same loops and slants I used to love seeing on birthday cards. Inside, it said, "You were right. Love isn't ownership. It's a privilege." I didn't understand that until I lost it. I read it once, then again, then folded it and placed it in the back of a drawer. I didn't respond. Some things are better left unspoken. That letter wasn't an invitation to reconnect. It was her confession, her last apology, and maybe, finally, her understanding. Now, when my phone rings, I don't flinch. I answer when I want. I disconnect when I need to. I don't chase anymore. I don't beg to be chosen. I wait for respect. I wait for clarity, because I learned the hardest way possible. Love without trust is just possession, and silence, when it's the only answer left, is sometimes the most honest reply you can give. She thought freedom meant walking away from me. But mine began the moment I stopped answering her calls.